from The Crucible, which is Andrew Wilson's channel. If you don't know who he is, you're about to find out. Oh, and Pixie. Loony Leftist claims women are only weaker than men due to stigma. So, Pixie's not stupid.
The necessary requirements for
Andrew's
critical
smarter.
Infrastructure has absolutely changed.
I wouldn't say he's more correct,
it's no longer
but he's smarter.
Strength. We have
it's still
machinery.
Yeah.
No, it would
what
take.
machinery is going to lay a roof?
What do you mean? Well, I mean, eventually, but it's not.
Eventually.
It's not impossible.
No.
Wait, wait. It's not impossible for a woman to do roof laying.
Obfuscate.
You're
don't
acting.
obfuscate.
No. Okay, I'm not obfuscating.
Then good. Then let me go down. Then let me go down my series here.
Okay, you're acting as if.
Okay, they're already mad, so this is like partway through a debate.
It's impossible for a woman to do roof.
And it's just the two of them, so it must be just a one-on-one debate, which is interesting.
My series. Yeah, okay, so what I'm saying to you is almost no women anywhere on planet fucking Earth can do roof work. Almost none.
Do you think they're physically incapable of doing roof work? Okay,
So I've actually read that this is kind of true, but it has nothing to do with like the physical strength, because roofing doesn't actually take a ton of physical strength. I know, I've done it before. But I guess because of like the heat, men have like better temperature regulation, so we can be like up in that heat on like the roof with like, because it's way hotter on a roof than it is like on the ground on the same day, only 12 feet away, because like the roof actually like reflects heat back onto you. And apparently we're better at temperature regulation, so we can just like do it for longer. I don't know how true it is. Someone can fact check me on that.
I think there's definitely jobs that women are less inclined to do. Rescaling a roof,
Pixie sounds mad. And Andrew's doing the half eyebrow raise thing, so it's not looking good for our friend over
here. We can
like
find out multiple examples of women doing it. I think most women are not inclined to do it.
No.
Maybe they're not. It's not optimal for women to do it.
Did I say all, or did I say most?
You said none. I literally just asked you.
I think the last time I looked, it's 93% men and 7% women. That could be, no, I think plumbing is 97% men and 3% women. I think roofing is 93% men.
Can we replay?
Yeah, replay it. My exact words were this to you. I said almost none. Is that all?
Okay.
Is almost none the word all?
No, I'm pretty sure you said none.
Nope, I said almost none.
Okay,
and
let's
the
say
reason
you said almost
I
none.
never put anything in a monolith, because dumb fucking liberals will always do this. If I can point to one, and then they...
He's right. He's very, very careful not to put anything in monolith. Andrew Wilson, you have to be extremely careful debating him.
Say hang on. Then they say they're the ones who are good faith. Well, if I could point to one, then you're all claim. So I never make the all claim. What I'm saying to you is that almost all women, almost all, not all, almost all, are incapable of doing roof work, incapable physically of doing it.
Okay, and this is where I disagree.
Good. Now we can get to the argument.
Okay, I think we could say
Calm down, Pixie. You knew who you were. I mean, she knew who she was debating. Like,
at least to my understanding of roof work, I'm pretty sure most women could do it. It's just not optimal. It's not ideal. It would probably be easier if a guy did it, but that doesn't mean women are incapable of doing roof work. Or almost all women are incapable.
Do men and women's body temperature regulate the same?
No.
Hey, he's bringing up the thing. Yeah, I pre-watched this. Don't worry about it. I can see the future. It's fine.
I think women run slightly colder.
They have trouble in heat.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that it's not possible for them to do roof work.
Well, wait. Not possible for most of them to work in extreme temperature conditions.
I'm sorry. Is it the same temperature all the time?
Now again, I have heard this. I don't know how true it is exactly. Maybe we'll look it up in a minute.
When it comes to your roof outside?
That makes it worse because of heat regulation. So women have a harder time heating up and cooling down. And so what happens is when you're doing something like roof work, for instance, you'll have a black tar that's laid under you.
Yep, it gets super hot, and the heat reflects back on you, and it's just like you're just getting like surrounded by heat.
And so
It's
even if it's
crazy.
70 degrees outside, it'd be 110 degrees on the roof. It's 110 degrees outside, 140 degrees on the roof. What happens is women actually physically cannot deal with the regulation of temperature. And because of their physiology, their musculoskeletal system is so small, what ends up happening is they heat up even faster doing labor that men do, which takes them half the energy.
Yeah.
So it takes more
As I
energy
said-
for a woman to pick something up than a man.
Yeah, as I said before, it might not be optimal, but that doesn't make it impossible. So even using your same example of roof work, what would end up happening is that instead of doing it like almost any time in the day or whatever, if we lived in a society of only women for whatever hypothetical
Okay, but I don't understand the title then,
reason-
because women are only weaker than men due to stigma. Why are they talking about roofing?
okay, what would have to happen? Women would have to do it in
It
different
wouldn't work.
times.
The
No,
society
it's
wouldn't
not that
work.
it wouldn't do it.
Yeah, then show me a society where women ever fucking built anything and ever ran the fucking society. And I don't want to hear some tribal Amazonian bullshit society
Are
that we
those not
look up
societies?
and we find out that nope, it's not some matriarchal society. There is no society ever in the history of of all of mankind you can point to where there was a matriarchal workforce which took care of all of the infrastructure work for the society, or even half, or even 20%, or even 10, or
Has there
even
ever been-
10%.
Has there ever been like a male society with no women whatsoever? No, obviously not.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, wait. We can. We can look.
Really? Really?
Yes. Let me
Okay.
explain. Let me explain.
Yeah, go explain.
So we have.
I don't. They all do this. They stick on this point like it's so you can concede that men are generally stronger than women and do most of the physical labor in society. Like you can concede that and still have the rest of your arguments. I don't know why she's like trying to force a concession that just you'll never get. You'll never get this concession that women and men are like equally strong, and if like a woman just had been given the opportunity to do roofing, then all the roofs would be done and everything would be great. Like you don't have to concede this. It's
have militaries, right? Ancient militaries who often were off doing something for 6-7 years in a foreign nation, right? With a mass unit, and I'm talking thousands, right? Sometimes tens of thousands, 20s of thousands. That's a massive society in the ancient world. All men, right? For years at a time. Yes, we can point to societies of all men regulating
That's
themselves,
not-
operating. Yes, that is.
No, because I'm here. That society would not be able to sustain itself in the long term.
They did
Because-
sustain themselves in the long term.
No, I guess we have different definitions of long term because all I'm thinking about is that there's literally no children in an all-male
No,
society
well, if you're talking
or women.
cross-generationally,
Yeah, no, it would collapse.
But what I'm saying is
'cause
that no
can't-
society can even do what those men did as soldiers for 10 or 12 years who are women. They can't even do that. It's not possible for them to even do it.
I don't know. I think it's really interesting because when we look at parts of our history, even within the United States, when a shit ton of men, like the population of men, like decreased. Because they were all at war, because they all basically went out. It's not like things collapsed on themselves. Like things were
that's
still
because men
ongoing.
were still here running things.
Yeah, no, but women could still, and maybe we just fundamentally disagree here, but women could still be in those positions of power and things would still
No,
work.
they weren't in the positions
No, but they
of power.
could be,
No, I
theoretically.
don't think that they could be. So
Okay, well, here we have a
let me
fundamental disagreement.
And that's what we're debating.
well, it looks like Brian was supposed to be sitting in that chair and he just like left. I get it. I would have left too.
So let's
Yeah.
get into the debate. When all the men went off to war and women went and worked in the factories, they were putting screws in a fucking pack. They weren't designing the bombs. They weren't designing the
Do you
grenades.
think women aren't capable of designing bombs or grenades?
I think that they have extreme trouble with physical engineering because of their physical strength. Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to Pixie for having actually a good faith conversation. Is she is from her worldview, but this is the silliest part of the whole worldview. You don't need this to hold up the rest of your worldview, Pixie. I don't understand why they all get so hung up on this, like, everything men can do, women could do better. Not everything, you know? And there's things you can do better. It's fine. It's okay.
Do you think that I'm just really curious here.
Okay.
Here, do you think there's a one-on-one on physical strength and like your mental capabilities?
No, of course not.
A
course not,
one-on-one?
right?
What?
Yeah, what
Because
would that
we
have to do
can-
with anything?
Okay, that has to do with everything. Because if
Okay.
you're telling me a woman cannot design how a bomb would be because she's not physically strong enough, there is obviously like a
Yeah, I don't think Andrew meant to say that because that makes absolutely no sense at all. Women can definitely design bombs. They might have a little more trouble in like the factory assembling them without like the help of machines, but they can definitely design them. I don't know. I don't think he meant to say that because I don't think he would say that.
complete like
No,
lapse of
that's
reality.
not what I said.
Yeah,
What I
I
said-
asked you, is it
That's
possible
not
for
what you
women
said.
to
What was my
design
answer?
bombs?
What was my answer?
You said because you're not strong enough,
No,
it would be difficult.
I said with what field? Applied what?
You didn't say applied anything.
Yes, I said applied engineering was my exact words. You're just not listening.
I am listening, and I'm pretty sure we can go
I'm-
back.
go
on the
back.
video. I'll start
I'll
writing
tell you what.
down
I'll tell you
notes.
what. You buy in and out for the entire studio if we back this up and I said in applied engineering.
Okay, let's do that.
Let's do it. Where's Brian?
I don't know. I think it's really interesting because when we look at parts of our history, even within the United States, when a shit ton of men, like the population of men, like decreased. Because they were all at war, because they all basically went out. It's not like
No,
things
just let it go
collapsed
for a
on
second.
themselves.
We don't
Like
want to miss
things
it.
are
No, that's
still
because men were still
ongoing.
here running things.
Yeah, no, but women could still, and maybe we just fundamentally disagree here, but women could still be in those positions of power and things would still
No,
work.
they weren't in the positions
but they
of power.
could be,
No,
theoretically.
I don't think that they could be. So
Okay, well, here we have a
let me
fundamental disagreement.
And that's what we're debating. So let's
Yeah.
get into the debate. When all the men went off to war and women went and worked in the factories or were putting screws in a
Here we go.
they
Did he
weren't
say it or
designing the
not?
bombs. They weren't designing the
Do you
grenades.
think women aren't capable of designing bombs or grenades?
I think that they have extreme trouble with physical engineering because of
Physical
their
engineering.
You did not say
Yeah.
physical applied
Okay.
engineering. You said
Oh,
applied. There is a difference.
What physical?
What on earth? Physical engineering? Does he mean assembling? What does he mean? He definitely owes the whole studio in and out.
Is applied.
No, okay. You said applied
yeah.
engineering.
Yeah,
Okay.
Go
no.
get the fucking in and out. You can't weasel your way
I'm
out
not
of this
weaseling
one.
My way. There's a very big.
That was it.
Not because he did not say physical applied engineering. So go back 30 seconds, or go back 1 minute actually, right now.
Yeah, he definitely
I
did
wanna
not
go
say
now
applied.
Further back, because he said physical applied engineering, and
I said physical engineering.
no, you said physical applied engineering, and then you said, oh,
no,
I
no,
never
look.
said
Oh,
that.
You're
wait a
right.
minute.
I said if I did.
Wait a minute. She definitely owes him in and out because he said physical engineering and she was saying he said applied. I did not
Didn't
think
say
that
applied
was
engineering.
there.
Physical engineering is applied engineering.
Okay, there's a very, Okay. It's fine.
I just need the in and out. That's what I need.
There's a very
You're not getting out of the in and
Okay.
out.
There's a
I
very
would
big
I could go
difference
for a
between-
burger.
What is it? Me having to physically build a bomb
Yep.
versus me engineering a bomb for physical use. Can we agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
you agree women are capable of like physically
What I
designing
said
a bomb?
is that women have trouble with physical engineering, which is a lot of applied engineering. Yes.
Okay.
Does he mean like the sitting down and designing it on paper part? Because I don't think that's true. I don't think there's anything to suggest that women have a problem with design. Which is basically what he's saying. I know he keeps saying physical engineering or applied engineering. They're talking about design.
I'm trying to how to phrase this.
Putting your hand on your face doesn't make you a better debater.
I know. I'm frustrated.
It's a
because of my-
destinyism. You got to stop. Next, you're going to do
I
the
know.
triangle. Do the
Yeah.
triangle hands. There you go.
Triangle hands.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Applied engineering, or I want to even say physical applied engineering, and maybe I'm just wrong here. Maybe we can Google the definitions. There's a difference between design, right, and designing things for application and for use, versus actually physically building those things.
Yeah.
Most engineering, and maybe, again, maybe I'm wrong here. I'm open to being wrong.
I don't
It's
think you're
focused
wrong
on
here.
design. It's not focused on me actually building those things. That's somebody else's job.
That would be the person I'm talking about.
Okay.
You see, the
But
person.
we
So
specifically
hang
were
on.
talking about
You
design.
can design a house, right?
Yes.
But somebody has to build the house.
Yes.
You're the designer going to build the house.
Yeah. Okay.
So when I say that women have trouble with physical engineering, what I'm saying is that when they have to actually apply past the "this is in my mind" and build the fucking thing, where you need the engineers to actually build it, they have a big fucking struggle with that.
Okay, but that's
It is not engineers building things in factories. What is he talking about?
interesting because I asked you specifically, do you think women are going to have trouble designing bombs?
And I said no. I said, but what they have trouble with is
I
physical
think,
engineering.
maybe my reality is being like lapsed or something.
That's what I heard him say too. I don't know. I don't know what he's talking. Like, who cares?
With yours or something, because I thought you specifically said yes, they're going to have trouble with it.
They do have trouble because of the physical application
But these are two separate things.
Yes, but what I'm saying to you is that, listen, if you have women who are just there in an engineering, all the men are off at war, okay? This was the point of this. All the men are off at war, and a woman designs a phenomenal bomb, like
All
the
of them
bestest
are not
bomb
off at
ever.
war.
Doesn't matter if she can't fucking build it, or the other women around can't fucking build it if it requires the male engineers. That's the point.
Okay. Here's another thing.
I mean, they can, and they did in World War II. It just probably took a little longer, but they still did it.
It does require a level of strength to build things. However, we also, and I'm saying machinery as if it's like this really complicated thing, but I'm talking about like simple like pulley or lever systems. Ever since like humanity first could build things to get out of having to use their brute physical strength, they have. And this has come to the advantage of both men and women who are capable of doing this. I'm not saying men and women are one-on-one when it comes to physical strength.
Then
I've never said that.
Then why haven't they been building
Again,
shit forever?
they have.
What?
They have. Maybe not in the same
I'll
way.
tell you what. Name one single female invention.
I'm trying to think of what is it. There's a specific tool in agriculture.
What's it called?
I can't. Let's Google it right now.
No, let's not. Can you just
Why?
name
I
it?
know. I am gonna.
No.
Google it.
Name it. You
What?
can't name a single one.
I can't.
You gotta Google it.
Well, what is it? You're just asking me about.
I can't name any inventors, so I don't. This isn't really like a. This isn't the slam dunk he thinks it is. I don't think.
Oh, specifically,
You said women invent shit all the time. What? What are they inventing?
they literally specifically invented like a form of agriculture that had to do with like, what is it? Oh, like rotational crop fielding, something like that. Like that's the exact terminology or something.
Can you think of a tool?
I don't think you can even bring back the like first tools to like man or woman. Like I don't think you have like the first like for the I don't think it's fair to say the first beer was like built by a man or the first.
Do you build beers? I think you can safely say that probably most tools were original. Like the first hammer was probably crudely constructed by a man. I mean, that seems pretty obvious. But you can just concede this point. Like, who cares?
Hammer.
Why not?
Because we have no evidence of that. We just have evidence of humans using tools.
We know who brewed the first beers. They were monks.
Yeah, we don't.
It was monks. You heard it here, guys. First beer, monks.
No, yeah, but we're talking about very basic tools. We're talking about tools that either a man or woman can do.
Now you're obfuscating him.
No, I'm not
Your
obfuscating.
claim was, since the beginning of time,
I don't think that's
when we
obfuscation.
figured out the pulley and the lever system,
Yes.
which I would say we probably had access to even from an evolutionary prism for like 50,000 years or more.
Sure, yeah.
Okay? If that is the case, this was not knowledge which was just limited to men. Okay? So if that is the case, where's all these women building all these fucking societies knowing how to use that pulley and that lever system?
Because society, well, let's start here.
Yeah, take a deep breath.
You do know that there are societies and that there were societies before
There are
By
societies.
the way, how can you be a
physical
feminist
buildings.
and have to Google a single female invention?
I have female accomplishments from the top of my head, but regardless of that, separate from that,
Okay.
you do know there were societies that existed before the invention of like a concrete building, right? You do know this. Okay, cool. You know what a nomadic society is?
There were?
Yeah,
wait,
there were.
Wait.
Cool,
They
awesome.
didn't have concrete buildings?
Yeah, cool. So you know what nomadic
Oh my God!
societies were?
Debate over. I concede.
You know.
Okay. Let her finish the sentence, Andrew. Okay.
Okay.
No, I didn't know that. Now
You didn't know
that
nomadic
just blew my
societies
mind.
existed.
There was societies which existed without concrete
Yes,
buildings.
I know it's very hard to believe.
Go ahead.
So you know about nomadic societies, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So you know, for like tens of thousands, if not a lot more years, the way that humans lived, for the vast majority of societies humans lived in were nomadic societies, right? Yes. The answer is yes.
So wait a second. We're not sure. Here's why. We do know that we had civilizations up to 10,000 years ago. Real civilizations that had governments and writing and sophisticated individuals who ran inside those civilizations. So when you say most of these societies were nomadic,
We're talking
not
about
sure
early-
because we've lost tons and tons of information on even the societies which existed 10,000 years ago. There could have been great societies which existed before that. Not sure about that.
Okay.
Not sure I'm willing to concede that most of them, even up to 20,000 years ago, were nomadic.
Okay. At least according to most like modern anthropologists and even those beforehand, what seems to be
When you use that tone, like
Oh my God. Just let her get to the damn point about I want to know why the nomads were important to this conversation.
Sorry. this, it actually doesn't help your case, but it is annoying.
well, I want
right.
to maybe
Anyway, go ahead.
annoy
It is a little annoying.
a little bit because it's just my voice.
It's the Destiny tone. Why do
It's
y'all
not-
do?
I don't
Why do
even
y'all do
watch
that
Destiny.
anyway? So we look at the da and the da 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 da
Okay.
and the da da and da da da, right?
So when we look at most societies,
She definitely doesn't watch Destiny anymore. That's for sure.
I'm just gonna keep doing it because you keep calling out, so it's harder to even like forget. Basically, throughout most human history, we were nomadic creatures. We would basically hunt and, travel in groups essentially. And then it usually became like once the first agricultural revolution came, where we were like, oh my God, we could actually stay in this area. We can actually grow things here. We don't have to constantly move from one place to
Yeah,
another
and
place to
animal
another
husbandry
place.
and all of this. I don't know what this has to do with anything.
Because you're saying, oh, why weren't women essentially building like these intense architectural
They've had at least
designs?
10,000 years.
And then the
10,000 years of
answer
recorded
comes to,
history.
The fact is, we've had societies for, tens of thousands of years that just weren't based on like having to have physical structure to function. Like that's just it. This came as
Yeah, but that would
opposed
be
to-
for men. And so what I'm saying is when we did, which is at least 10,000 years, at least 10,000 years, we've had standing buildings with structures that had some kind of government in them, this type of thing. At least you would agree 4,000 years ago. We had great structures, cities, nations, the whole 9 yards. Up to 2,000 years ago, which is a long fucking time, 2,000 years. Where's all these fucking female inventions, civilizations? Where's all these great
So that answer.
contributions? Where are they at?
Oh my gosh. Okay. What I want to say, or what I want to explain, is that
The ancient world stigmatized women.
well, what happened was after the agricultural revolution, what it seems to happen is that men got more control of the agricultural supply. So they gained more level and power in society to institute essentially societal rules. So if you want to talk about like why haven't women done this or why women haven't done that? Well,
How come they couldn't just use their big brains to stop that from happening?
post-agricultural revolution, part of the reason is men did institute these systems of power in place that benefited them.
Because they're much stronger than women?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That whole nomadic tribe thing was so pointless. She literally just brought it right back to the men are stronger and they took over. How is that? That That has nothing to do with. Oh my god.
Partially because of physical
let's
force.
hear the
yeah.
rest.
Well, wait. What was
Sorry,
the other?
no, let's go for it. Let's go for it.
Yeah,
Yes, physical
so because
force.
of physical force, because they're much
Yes.
stronger than women.
But that doesn't mean that society was always predicated upon brute physical force. Because
Well, okay. So she's saying that because we didn't have like big buildings, that societies weren't predicated on physical force. But the nomadic tribes she's talking about, they still fought each other, and the ones that had stronger men usually won, and they still had to fight animals and hunt, and they were still building rudimentary things, and that was still mostly the men,
as we've seen,
at least performing in the strength requiring roles. I mean, women still did lots of stuff. I don't understand why she wants to like die on this hill.
before,
I think
we've had
society right
nomadic
this
societies.
second is predicated on brute physical
Physical force. Okay. Sure, we could talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So
okay.
this is what we were leading into
Wait, but
anyway.
I need to clarify.
Okay.
You're saying, this is just how it is. This is just how it be. And I'm trying to say, no, there were, tens of thousands of years before modern day civilization where we still existed in a society without brute physical force.
Where?
Essentially. Nomadic societies.
Nomadic societies use brute physical force all the time.
Okay. Nomadic societies as a whole.
Okay.
We're not predicated on this idea of like, oh no, like men have all this 100% control over women. What it seemed to be is that we would hunt and gather at packs.
When you say seemed, I need you to take a stronger position than seemed. See, seemings are frustrating to me because I'm not really committing to this. I'm just saying, I think so, maybe. So without using the word seem, are you willing to commit to that position?
I'm willing to commit to the fact that the way that early human society formed and was structured was basically around, like nomadic principles of essentially always moving, hunting in packs as groups together, taking care of children together, like basically wandering around the globe in the pursuit of like,
Yeah, but
bigger
civilization's predicated on force. You agree with that?
Yes, I would say yeah.
Okay, and
After-
including this one.
We're talking about modern civilization. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, modern being whatever
post-agricultural-
civilization is stationary.
Post-agricultural revolution.
Yeah. So that's all predicated on physical force.
Somewhat, but I'll say yes for now.
Okay. So men have the
Just say yes. It's
monopoly on this force.
Not anymore, but they did.
How do we not have a monopoly on force now?
What happened was essentially with the invention of modern weaponry, which became like essentially like a great equalizer. And not
no. Oh, she's okay. Do you know how strong you have to be to load a shell into a tank? Or to carry, like to fire a military AR, like an automatic AR. I think they're called M4s in the military, but I could be wrong on that. I'm not a huge gun nut, but all of the modern tools, I mean, maybe she's just talking about drones. Like, I guess, yes, women could pilot drones. Is that what she's going to say?
not just modern weaponry, but also the ability, I guess you couldn't say bombs are a type of modern weaponry.
You realize modern weaponry still requires physical strength to use.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
disagree
here we
with
go.
that. But the point is, if I have a gun and you don't, you're fucked.
Yeah, but what if you have a gun and I have a gun?
Yeah, that's if if she's arguing that the force equalization equalized things, which would mean that we both have a gun. And if we both have a gun, it's gonna kick back less in my hands than it is in Pixie's hands, for example. There are certainly some women that can have no problem. I mean, I go to the gym every day. I see these women. They could definitely fire a weapon is just as well as I could. Jesus. But if we both have a gun, then for the most part, it's still not quite equal.
Yeah,
Who has
the
the
problem
advantage?
is not everybody is strapped all the time.
Yeah, but
The
it
vast
doesn't-
major-
it doesn't
No,
need
it
to
does
be.
matter.
Yeah, but in war, she's talking about war. In war, everyone is strapped all the time. That's the entire point. Like,
No,
it does. 100%. It
I
does.
I can demonstrate this for
No,
you.
okay, it does matter because if I had a gun in this room right now, it would make me basically the czar of violence or whatever.
But you would be disadvantaged compared to men who had them.
Maybe.
Well, I can demonstrate this
I know
for
you're
you.
gonna talk. You're gonna talk about recoil and stuff like that.
Nope, I'm just going to talk about a basic statistic.
recoil would be a
so,
thing.
Women have their guns taken away from them in physical altercations where they're defending themselves at like 10 times the rate that men do.
Ladies, get firearm training. That is all.
Okay.
Which means that they 10 times the rate, right? But let's just say it's just double. Or let's just say it's just, I don't know, half again. They're still at a disadvantage to men even when it comes to having weapons.
Yeah, there is.
So men still,
multitude-
so even if you use the weapons as being a force multiplier, men would still have the advantage.
There is a multitude of factors that are going into co-inflating in here. So right, when it comes to women getting like their weaponry taken away from them, it could be argued that like, okay, maybe it's because women aren't necessarily like socialized to shoot per se.
Because they're not as strong as men, and so
Not
so
because
I
they're
would
not
so
strong as
so
men,
here
but
no
because
look
women are taught to be.
Nope.
The woman getting their guns taken away thing, that one does probably have a lot to do with training. Because of, and I'm not saying most of the men that walk around with a handgun are super trained, or that the guys that are taking the guns away from women are like super trained with guns. But if neither of you are trained, the male's probably generally, on average, going to have some kind of advantage. If she were trained, then it might be a different story.
Oh, but
Very
that's,
nurturing,
that's fucking
loving.
insane.
I guess that's that for that one. That was rough. I don't know why she had to go down that rabbit hole. I don't get it.